Hello, everyone, and welcome in. I am Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and welcome back to another episode of the Mad Science Lab podcast. Tonight, we are here for another episode of Sleepers, Breakouts, and Busts. And here to help me with that is Ryan Pros_FF, as you'll find him on Twitter. Ryan, man, thanks for joining me. It's always great to have you. How's it going?
Thanks for having me. It's going well. I mean, I'm excited. I picked these players out a while ago, and I'm still strong with my opinions on them. So
I don't think I've had any of these three, which is always a pleasant surprise. As long as I look and you don't have Alexander Madison or Calvin Ridley, I'm like, fucking right. We have three fresh ones here. So the other one I had one guy yesterday. He picked three new ones, but they were all three rookies. Three rookies makes it tough because there's no stats to talk about. It's all projections. So before we get into your first guy here, do you want to take a second to promote yourself and what it is you're doing and where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me at the Fantasy Football League Winners. I just joined the team over the League Winners. I've been producing a couple of pieces. It's been really awesome, and I'm excited to join and be a part of that, and continue writing. So
that has turned into chaos lately. I've edited and published more articles over there in the last week than I had in the entire off season. All of a sudden, I go from where I post, "Hey, can anybody write this up quickly?" and someone replies instantly. Before I end up begging people for days and have to write it myself. So you can tell it's officially August and shit is crazy now. So it's good to have you. I'm sure we'll see many more from you throughout the season here. Well, let's get into your first guy. We have your sleeper, if I have this in the right order. Yep. That would be, this is so weird to say, New England Patriots receiver Juju Smith-Schuster. Fantasy Pros has him as wide receiver 41, negligible rushing stats, 68.8 receptions, 773.3 receiving yards, and 4.1 touchdowns. Why is Juju your sleeper?
Look, I mean, wide receiver 41, I think he goes lower in best ball, if I'm not mistaken. I
remember when he was the wide receiver 2 in Dynasty like 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think he peaked at 1, didn't he?
I know the year I got my first two, I only remember because 2019 or 2020, my first two picks and my first ever Dynasty startup, someone told me go wide receiver heavy, and I went Michael Thomas and Juju Smith-Schuster. It worked out so well. It's been a great league.
I love that. I mean, that doesn't beat the time where I did an auction draft and I spent most of my budget on Odell after his good years, so I feel that.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. Yeah, he's 54 on Underdog right now. So yeah, he's going lower in best ball, but I just don't see a way how he doesn't get there. I mean, we've seen him catch so many passes in the league already, and 68 feels low. I just don't like the projections here. And I know Mac Jones was, I believe, 18th in passing attempts. I think he's going to be higher this year. He finally has an OC. Like, I was just talking about this with someone in a Discord the other day. I think he gets like a punt year, I feel like. Sort of like how we gave Trevor Lawrence that punt year. I know it's two different things and doesn't equate, but Mac Jones is better than what he displayed last year. I forget what his average yards or attempt was. I think it was some stat where he was better than Trevor Lawrence in his first year. He's the best rookie quarterback. I think it was average yards per attempt or something like that. It was one of those. Yeah. It was a chart I saw a long time ago, and I'm just trying to remember. I just know that Mac Jones is at the top. But I think he's better. I think he's a value too. What's the target competition on this team? Is it Hunter Henry? Is it Tyquan Thornton? Devontae Parker? Like, we've seen Juju be good before.
Absolutely. I should also note that I've done a whole bunch of these with the Fantasy Pros projections. I find their projections to be very, very much on the conservative side. So, you want to discount that. I feel like they are a great site if you want floor projections. Go in because they're going to tell you what everyone's absolute bottom floor is. So we'll look here on their rankings. They have him as wide receiver 50, 115 overall. Wide receiver 50. Jameson is suspended 6 games. Michael Thomas hasn't stayed healthy in 2 years. God only knows what's going on with the rest of these players. What do you think of Juju in this range here at 50 over our fifth
I
wide
mean,
receiver 50.
I like him a lot. I mean, the only names that stand out are Quentin Johnston if he wins a prominent role in his first year in. I was about to say San Diego. I was this close. It's been a while. But
I still make that mistake. Don't feel bad.
I was just this close. And then I really like Nico Collins down at the bottom there. But everyone else, like, it feels like Juju's just a tier above unless these rookies perform, like, kind of deal.
Yeah, it's a spot where you either take Juju or you're just throwing darts at, the rookie of your choice. Eli Moore, I'm not sure about. Cortland Sutton's pretty much been left for dead. Yeah, I don't mind Johnston. I don't mind Flowers. I'm out on pretty much everyone else. I don't mind Nico, but
Nico's
that's
down
an
there
ugly
though.
range. What?
It's Nico's down there though. He's another 15 picks after. So like,
Yeah, he is. So I
I like
don't know.
that.
I don't mind his spot. He certainly seems to be a safer dart throw if a dart throw can be safe, but that's what he
he's
seems
gonna
to
give
be.
you something, right? He's gonna give you something this year.
Next up, if I've got this in the right order, we have your breakout. That would be Falcons receiver Drake London, projected as wide receiver 29. Also negligible rushing stats projected. 76.5 receptions for 947.1 receiving yards and 5.6 receiving touchdowns. What do you like about Drake London?
Look, I want to preface this. This could all go wrong if those camp throws by Desmond Ritter are, any bit close to what he throws in the league. But Drake London is just a special talent. I don't think he got to showcase as much as Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave last year because of his quarterback situation. I mean,
Still had a good year.
He still had a good year. He had the second highest target rate in the whole league at 32%. I mean, the attempts were not there, so I get why people argue that, but he's a special wide receiver and he's going to do special things. They spent a top 10 pick on him. They're hoarding offensive talent at this point without a quarterback. It's just, I mean, I love the metrics. Like, what was his final college season? If he would have played, if he didn't break he broke his ankle, he would have put up like absolutely absurd stats in his last college season.
I don't have the numbers on me either, but it was something ridiculous. It was record breaking pace. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things where you got to trust the talent. I mean, it showed right away. He came in and he was the alpha over Kyle Pitts, who, the fantasy community and Kyle Pitts. We could just throw that to the side because, yeah, it's one of those things. I'm still hoping for a breakout for him too, but he's the number one in this offense, and you just got to buy the talent. Like, maybe that's a mistake I can get into here. I buy into the talent too much a little bit, and it leads me into some bad spots.
No, I think we've seen the results. Like, he was good last year. He wasn't great. 30 wide receiver 31 last year in a crappy offense. There's nothing in the receiving core around him. The only good pass catchers are Bijan and Pitts. His value is falling based solely on people, being all in on Bijan. So you've got the RB1 for Dynasty and the tight end one for Dynasty on this team. And he's going by the wayside because people are so in on them. But I think he's probably the best pass catcher on the team. And if they, if this isn't strictly a run first team, I think he's going to be a great value. Do I think he's going to be top 10? Probably not, but like, I think he could easily be a top 24. And 1 sec, I'm going to try and bring the screen over and then I'm going to have to find him. But
we need to see Taylor Heineke win that job over Desmond Ritter, because we've seen Terry McLaurin produce with Taylor Heineke, so there's no reason Drake London can't. Like,
see, he's going in a spot here, right? See, if this is where the cliff falls off for me after DK. We've got Debo, Keenan Allen. You've got a lot of the old guys. Debo, Keenan, Cooper, Jerry Jeudy. He's not old, but I am not all in on him. You got Hopkins, Ridley. Then you've got Drake London in here and then the mix of a bunch of younger guys, upside guys. I don't know if he's necessarily the target I want in this range, but he's not someone I'm avoiding. I think he's someone I have more shares of, not necessarily at his wide receiver 22 price tag and not at 45th overall. I've taken him in the leagues where people have gone really crazy on these other receivers here, and he's fallen from 45 to 60 or 65. I find he falls a lot more than any of the other receivers, especially like everyone's all in on Olave and Wilson. I don't know. I like London more than the two of them going into last year. And I mean, I get they both had better seasons, but they both had better circumstances too. So I don't
Still
know.
do though.
I'm not saying he's better than either of them. I just don't think he's this much worse than those two.
Yeah, I agree. It's Aaron Rodgers, it's Derek Carr, who we've seen, produce massive fantasy wide receivers over the years. Devontae Adams being one of them. I mean, Darren Waller, they've produced good fantasy players in the past, and Desmond Ridder just doesn't seem like he could do that. I think that's the problem. Like, I kind of expect Taylor Heineke to win the job at some point. I know
that might be better.
At least we've seen someone do, like I said, we've seen someone do it with Taylor Heineke. Like Terry McLaurin was at least decent with Taylor Heineke. So
yeah,
it's one of those things. It's tough.
Let's get into your bust here. We have your bust, another receiver. That would be Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams, projected as wide receiver 23. Negligible rushing stats as well. 77.1 receptions for 995.3 and 6 touchdowns. Wide receiver 23, I'm pretty sure I'd rather have Drake London over Mike Williams. But what are your thoughts here on Williams?
Look, he's been fantastic over the past couple of years. There's no denying that. He's finally lived up to the draft stock, but I just think it's way too crowded there now for him to bet on a wide receiver 2 finish. You have Austin Eckler, who's just going to get a multitude of touches. You have Keenan Allen. If he stays healthy, he's going to be a PPR monster like usual. And then Quentin Johnston is the big one. Can he potentially, push Mike Williams for some of those targets? And if he does, then Mike Williams is going to bust. I mean, it kind of feels like a trap this year when I'm sitting on the clock on Underdog and I see Mike Williams there. I'm like, I can't do this because there's so many paths for his season to go wrong and so little for it to go right. It feels like in the grand scheme of things. Like he's one of those guys where it just doesn't feel like it's going to happen.
Mike Williams kind of always feels like a trap to me.
He does.
That's someone I want. Even when he's healthy, it never lasts, and he's so boom or bust. I avoid even AJ Brown, and I get it, it's a much higher level, but the guys with injury history who are ultra boom or bust, I hate dealing with that. It's such a hassle. But we see him here. He's wide receiver 28, 61st overall. So above him, we've got DJ Moore, Christian Watson, McLaurin, Kirk, and Godwin. Would you take him over any of those 5 in Moore, Watson, McLaurin, Kirk, Godwin?
Watson I'd have to think about, but the other 4 are easily no.
And then the 5 below him, Ayuk, Deontay, Lockett, Pittman, Evans. Are you taking any of those 5 over him?
I'll go with the 3 that are closest to him. Ayuk and Deontay are 2 of my highest exposed players in best ball up to this current date. So I've been drafting them every chance I can get in the 5th, 6th rounds. But Pittman and Evans scare me because of their quarterbacks. It's Desmond Ridder, but worse kind of deal. You know what I mean?
I have a ton of Deontay, Lockett, Ayuk.
They're good.
You're right though. I don't mind literally everyone on this board. I think Williams is the one I want least. The only 2 where I would consider it, I think I still take Godwin over him. I don't want Pittman, but Pittman and the 2 Bucks are the only ones I think are close. And maybe Pickens if you want to go all the way down to 35, because Pickens' volume kind of scares me. But there are from 20, so we got 15 receivers on the screen here. Mike Williams might be 15th out of these for me. I mean, he's at least 12th or 13th. I don't like him in this range at all. And even if I keep scrolling down, I'd rather have Dotson. I might rather have Burks. And then we get to where I probably don't want any of these guys over him, but I'm just wide receiver 28, 61st overall. So this is not a range where I have any of him, but like you said, I think we both have the same strategy. We don't have any Williams, because you have a lot of, you said Ayuk and Deontay, and I have a lot of Ayuk, Deontay, and Lockett. So
I mean, the numbers are there for those guys. They're not there for Williams. Deontay, the touchdown regression is going to happen, right? It has to. And then Ayuk was the wide receiver 1 over Debo to the end of the stretch. And then Tyler Lockett's just been so consistent. It's weird.
Yeah, it is. He's always undervalued. And Deontay, He's going as wide receiver 30. He finished as wide receiver 30 last year with a terrible rookie quarterback
No touchdowns.
No touchdowns. It can't be any worse. Brandon Ayuk, I'm high on this year. Like I said, Godwin, I still take. The $2 scare the hell out of me. I think I'm still willing to take Godwin.
I'm
Evans
Godwin
is probably a
Evans.
toss-up. Mike and Mike here, I don't know. Williams, Evans, I'm not really in on either of them. Oh, that's what it is. So in this 15 player range here, I'm out on the Mikes. Williams, Pittman, Evans. I don't want any of them. Those are my last 3 out of this. So don't be like Mike is the moral of this story in the 20 to 35 range. Don't be like Mike.
Really is. I mean, it's how are they going to hit how are any of these guys going to hit value? I need the Mikes. I mean, Mike Williams, if he stays healthy, obviously, but like Michael Pittman and Mike Evans, there's like, it seems like there's no path to relevancy if Anthony Richardson doesn't throw and Baker Mayfield as bad as he is in camp. Like,
or Kyle Trask, or
you see that in the depth chart?
Yeah, yes, I did. Oh I tried to avoid the majority of the depth charts, but I did hear that one. Yes,
that's just too out there that you have to look at it.
Williams, you also factor in, Gerald Everett is pretty good still, and Quentin Johnston, I think Quentin Johnston takes more of Mike Williams' share than he does Keenan Allen, and I don't think he affects Austin Eckler at all. So I think Mike Williams and Quentin Johnston kind of cannibalize each other, so that scares me even more off Mike Williams. So, but like I said, all the factors of why I don't like him, and then you have he's going above the 3 guys who I own the most out of any wide receiver are these 3 right here of Ayuk, Deontay, and Lockett, and that explains why I'm pretty much out on him. Even Dotson, who was going 22 picks later, I'll take him every day. All right, well, that concludes your 3. Do you want to take a second here to tell everyone where they can find you again?
Yep, you can find me at RyanPros_FF, and I will be writing for the league winners. And you said it yourself; it's gotten crazy over there. It's been a wild time, and it's been a fun couple of weeks, and I'm just excited to write more. I found, so I took a break from writing. This is just a little fillers thing. I took a break from writing, but I think I refound that passion with writing with the league winners, because it was like, I think it's been like a year and a half since I wrote a fantasy football article before I started writing here again. So back into the swing.
It's chaos. I can tell you that. Speaking on that, I have to go after this and edit an article because we got real quick out there publishing an impact piece on Kareem Hunt going to the Saints. And now that's devolved into a total shit show. And he could be going to the Saints. He could be going to the Colts. We don't know. So now I have to go take that down or edit it to say ... But he could also be going to the Colts. So here's how it impacts the Colts. So
yeah. I went on a show right before this. I was on a live stream, and I'm like, they were talking about Kareem Hunt to the Colts. I'm like, did I miss something? Like,
that announcement came out and things went sideways. It's funny because they were definitely about to sign 2 players. I forget who the other one was. I think it was a defensive player. And then next thing you know, it's like, yeah, never mind. They both left, and neither of them signed. So yeah, what a nightmare.
Groovy.
So, all right. Well, thank you, Ryan, for joining me. This has been Sleepers, Breakouts, and Busts with RyanPros_FF. Once again, I am Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and this has been the Mad Science Lab podcast. Thanks, Ryan, for joining me, and thank you all.
We got the names this time. No name mess ups.
Yes, we did. I've already messed up the names enough for one day. So, all right, everyone, take care and have a great night.
See you.
Bye.